There's a debate in the NBA draft, Carr. It's the biggest question ahead of next week's draft. Who goes number 2? Wemby is obviously going number 1. We talked about it in our other video. He's generational. The torch is his. But who goes 2? Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson. The Charlotte Hornets are picking 2. The Portland Trailblazers are picking 3 for now. Both those teams are rumored to move out of their spots. Portland wants to contend for some reason, even though they're so far from contending. And I don't know what Charlotte's going to do. They got LaMelo Ball. In theory, they don't need a point guard, but also in theory, they don't need a toxic person in that locker room after some of the other guys that are there. What would you do if you're Charlotte? Would you try to trade the pick? Would you take one of these dudes? And if it was one of these dudes, who are you taking?
So this is where I'm at with the G, and this goes against some of the things I usually talk about because you know me, I'm usually all get the guy that can hoop, off the court stuff. We'll figure it out. We'll work it out. But I truly think that culture and like timing of things actually matters in basketball, especially in the NBA. And unfortunately, like you just for optic reasons, you cannot pick Brandon Miller if you're the Hornets. Now I honestly truly think I would pick Scoot myself because I think Scoot is better than Brandon Miller. But also, you know, the fit questions kind of make sense as well. Like they kind of need a guy like a Brandon Miller on the wing, not necessarily taking the ball out of LaMelo's hands because LaMelo's so special when he has the ball in his hands. But I do think that LaMelo could play off the ball a little bit. I think Scoot could do the same as well. So I still think that pairing could work somehow. Like I know we talked about getting 2 guys that can handle the ball. I can't think of who in the league right now is kind of that same mold in that backcourt. But like you had a guy suspended all last season because he beat his wife damn near to the point of almost like death. I mean, she was concussed. You got all this other stuff going on with the organization. You can't pick a guy who had a hand in someone dying. You just can't. I don't care what his role was, everything about it, the optics of it. You just can't do it.
I agree with everything you said. I'm not gonna get in too far into that because I think you covered everything perfectly. If you didn't say any of that, I probably would have said it. I don't think I need to say it. I agree. For basketball reasons, I will chime in and say that I think if the Hornets pass on Scoot Henderson for Brandon Miller because they think LaMelo Ball is a better fit with Brandon Miller, they are insane because of a few reasons. One, there's a better chance that LaMelo Ball is out of the league due to bad feet because he played on big baller brand shoes growing up for 10 years than there is that he is a first option on an NBA title team. It just is what it is. I'm calling it what it is. He's a good player. He's an all-star. I don't think he is ever the face of a title team. And there are legitimate reasons to believe this guy might not play a super long time in the league. If you look at Lonzo Ball, like Lonzo had a very promising early career and injuries have just ruined him. Not saying that's going to happen to LaMelo. I'm definitely saying it could. Like legit. I think the big baller brand stuff is true.
He's been getting hurt the last couple of years.
Right.
And it's ankles usually.
It's just true. It is what it is. So that set aside anything about how I feel about Miller or Scoot. Like you don't pick a guy for fit unless you're building around like a Giannis or a Luka. LaMelo Ball is so far off of those level of guys, even if he was healthy. Now, I also am with you. I like Scoot better than Brandon Miller on paper. I have concerns with Brandon Miller in a couple ways. One, I think a lot of times like wings that are shooters first don't pan out the way we hope they do in the league if they're like in the top 5. Like you got to have like some popping athleticism stuff that I really trust or some handle. I don't know that Brandon Miller has any of that. I'm not saying he's a bad athlete, but he's not like a top tier NBA athlete. And I don't really see the ball skill stuff. Like, I don't think he's a give him the ball and get out of the way guy. Scoot, like we know what he is. He's a ridiculous physical specimen. Like you don't see a point guard built like him that can jump like him, but he also has some of the skill set stuff. Like I think he's a really good passer. I think his handle is a work in progress, but it's pretty advanced. If he ever,
I like it, like his mentality.
yeah, like he is like the young bull. We always talk about let the young bulls rock. Like he's the epitome of a young bull. So I'm team Scoot. I would not like I'm trying to think of a team in the lottery that like I would pass on Scoot for Brandon Miller because of fit for. I can't really think of one. Like just take the best player available, figure it out. If he's really good, you end up like in a spot the Sacramento Kings were in, where you've got these two awesome young guards and you're going to end up getting a really good trade package for one of them if the fit doesn't work. So I would do that. Also, Brandon Miller was so bad in the NCAA tournament, dude.
It
So
wasn't.
bad.
It wasn't just NCAA. It was like that stretch of games leading up to the NCAA tournament too, wasn't it?
So he had like a couple performances right after the murder that were really good. And I honestly remember, I think you and I,
That sentence is insane, by the
it's
way.
horrible. It's horrible. I don't mean to laugh or minimize any of the horrible effects of this, but I remember you and I were texting about it like, nah, like we were kind of expecting him to mentally fold and like tuck his tail between his legs after all that was going on. And instead he had like one of his best performances the year.
Yeah, he had 40.
We were like, oh shit, like this, I don't know what to do with this dude. He's terrifying. And then like a couple weeks later is when it started to fade, but he had a good 2 week or so stretch after the incident. So I don't know. I don't know, man. Like he was just so bad. He was so bad in the tournament.
Yeah, but he also had some special stuff too. Like I thought he showed stuff as passer, and I thought his handle was better than I thought. Like it's not a Jabari Smith situation. Like he actually had there's a handle there.
What's what are your comps for these two?
Like highest like ceiling.
Who do you think they are? Don't give me like a ceiling or a floor. Just who are these guys in the NBA? I know we normally do drunk scouts. We've given that away because I'm a 30-year-old dad now. I can't do that. But
And you run.
And I run and eat fruit. Don't forget that.
Dude, I do not forget that. Chef Boyardee Himothy. Just because I'll stay with it, what I always been saying, I think Scoot is Derrick Rose. I think he's D Rose.
Do you think he's better or worse? Because
Better.
everybody throws that comp. You think Scoot's a better player than D Rose?
I think Scoot is farther along than where Derrick was at his age. And Derrick was pretty special. I mean, obviously, rookie of the year, really good run with Memphis. But no, I think Scoot physically might be even farther along than where Derrick was.
Okay.
I think
he's SpongeBob inflatable arms Ja Morant with better character.
Okay. That's a pretty good player.
Yeah, it's a very good player.
It's a very good player. I like that comp. You're gonna hate this.
Oh boy.
You're gonna hate this, but
don't do it.
Actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go like give me like Brandon Ingram, but with not as much, without the measurables, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I know I'm gonna hate this, but there is, if you squint really, really, really squint, he can give some Jason Tatum's at Duke vibes.
I hate it.
I'm sorry. I know you do. But he does.
Yeah, I know. I think that's the 1% outcome with a guy like Brandon Miller. I think he's horrible person Chris Middleton.
That's not someone you take two.
You don't take him two. That's where I'm at with him. And you might take him 3 because I don't love this draft after 3. I know some people love the Thompson twins. Some people love Cam Whitmore. Maybe we'll do a video on who the Pistons should pick for next week. But I kind of think there's a lot of question marks with everybody after the top 2. And Miller's probably the highest upside, so you take him without questioning it at 3. But I think when you really get into the weeds of it, like it's not a guarantee Brandon Miller is a really good NBA player.
Before we end this video, can I get one just draft take out there?
Yeah, please.
There is a world where Anthony Black ends up being the second best player out of this draft.
Wow. Did you consult Kevin Sweeney? He had him 5th on his board today, and I was
me and him are on the same page with that one.
Wow, I like it. I like Anthony Black. I'm intrigued by that. I'm surprised. I thought you'd be team Nick Smith out of the Arkansas guys, though. That's more your vibe, I feel like.
Yeah, I like Nick Smith too.
Okay.
But really, before we end this, Pistons, where you want at 5 right now? We end it, no discussion. Just who you want.
I want him to trade the pick, is what I want.
Trade? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cam Whitmore.
Mm-hmm. If they're making the pick, I want Taylor Hendricks.
Not mad at that. Okay.
Basketball instincts.
We're back.
We'll talk more about it next week. Sleepers out. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe on the channel. Yada, yada, all that.